Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining me here for another Facebook Live. I'm really excited to be talking to you today on a topic that is very near and dear to my heart and very much on my mind right now, which is meditation and how to integrate meditation into your life. First, I want to start off by introducing myself. I'm Dr. Alexis Conason. I'm a clinical psychologist. I'm in private practice here in New York City, and I'm also the founder of the Anti-Diet Plan. The Anti-Diet Plan is a 6-week online virtual program that is designed to help you make peace with your relationship with food, relate better to your body, and really heal some of the disordered eating that I think has become quite epidemic in our culture, that teaches us that we have to look one very limited way and that the path to getting there and to success and happiness is through weight loss. So the program focuses a lot on mindful eating and how to just really radically change our relationship with food. It's something very different. If you've never tried mindful eating or intuitive eating before, I think it's one of the most powerful things that we can do to change our relationship with our eating, with our body, and really ultimately ourselves. And I also think that there's a lot of power in changing our relationship with food and our body. In terms of what kinds of model we set for the next generation, because we know that our generation and the generations before us have really suffered with epidemic levels of body hatred. Over 91% of women are unhappy with their bodies. 97% of women report at least one thought of hating their body every single day. And as a parent myself, I'm really hoping and praying that we can, make a change in that. And I think that the way to do that is to start by changing our own relationship with food. And I'm actually going to be talking more about that on next week's Facebook Live. So if you're interested in learning more about how we can improve, kind of how we can raise kids with healthy body image and what some of the most transformative things that we can do to help our children really break free from the cycle that so many of us have suffered from, of excuse me, of disordered eating and feeling out of control with food and just really not feeling good enough about ourselves. I hope you'll tune in next week. Excuse me. I hope you'll tune in next week where we're going to talk more about how to help our children really develop body confidence and feel good about themselves. But today I want to talk about one of the most important tools that we can embrace that I think will help us change, again, not only our relationship with food, but also our relationship with ourselves and ultimately the way that we relate to the world around us. So this is really powerful. And I don't know about you guys, but I feel like the world around us could really need some changing and really need some help. So I went to an interesting talk last year by one of the kind of leaders in mindfulness meditation, John Kabat-Zinn, and he talked all about mindfulness as a social movement, as a way to change the social climate around us. So that was interesting. I think it was actually recorded if anybody's interested. It was in collaboration with the New York Insight Meditation Center. So on to today's topic, how to integrate meditation into our lives when we feel like we have no time. And by the way, if anybody's watching live, I would love to know that you're here. Please feel free to drop your comments in the comment section. One thing that would be useful for me to know is, let me know, like, are you totally new to meditation? Have you ever meditated before? Are we looking to continue a practice, to start a brand new one, or to recommit? And I'll tell you one of my intentions, if you've been following the 3 intentions that I'm going to be sharing this week on Facebook, and I also wrote about this in my blog, one of my intentions for 2019 is to recommit to my meditation practice. And meditation, I feel, is something that we kind of move towards and move away from at different points in our life. And last year, for whatever reasons, was a time where it felt harder for me to really practice regularly in the way that I wanted to. And I fell away from my practice a bit. And for 2019, my intention is to recommit to my practice. So I'm on day 8 right now of recommitting to my practice. I've been using the Insight timer. Hi, Judy. Judy says meditation's been very helpful to deal with stress. I agree. And one of the most popular meditation programs is called hi, Terry. Trying to meditate for 10 minutes a day. That's so beautiful. One of the most popular meditation practices or programs to teach people how to meditate is called the mindfulness-based stress reduction program. And it really is helpful, obviously, in dealing with stress, but also with a lot of other kinds of issues that come up in life. And that's the thing that's so powerful about meditation. We see it being used across so many different domains in terms of stress reduction, pain management, depression, anxiety, eating disorders, certainly overeating disorders. I use it obviously a lot with mindful eating and trying to help people struggling with binge eating and other types of disordered eating patterns, or just kind of the chronic disordered eating that I think most of us struggle with. And it's also used in parenting skills and productivity. They're teaching, I think there's a on-staff meditation instructor at Google or Facebook. So, one of the reasons that I think that it has such broad applications is because mindfulness changes not just a symptom, but the way that we relate to ourselves and the way that we relate to the world around us. And that has really global changes and really global effects in our life. So it's not just about, for example, like an antidepressant that might target a very specific transmitter in the brain, which is important and has a role. But meditation has a global effect on us. And it's really fascinating, some of the research out there on meditation. There's some brain imaging studies that show that meditation can actually change our brain, change the pathways in our brain. I mean, it just blows my mind. But I think often we get caught in this place of feeling that we're so busy, that we have so much going on in our lives that we don't have time to meditate. And I think that's actually a lot of what happened to me last year, of why I had kind of moved away from my practice. I got really busy, with personal things and family things, but also with things that I've been doing in my business, and trying to get the anti-diet plan course online was, I thought, not going to be such a huge project, but really ended up being a extremely kind of all-consuming project that I love, and I'm so proud of the final product there. But it kind of took over in a lot of ways, and I'll admit, I think that some self-care, and one part of self-care for me is meditation, and I think that some of my self-care kind of fell by the wayside in just trying to tackle this enormous project in midst of some other changes that were happening in my life. So, they always say we teach what we need to know. And I think that this for me is something that I really have been thinking a lot about in the past few weeks, as I've been thinking about the year to come in 2019 and what I want that year to look like, which is kind of a futile exercise because in so many ways we have absolutely no control over what happens. But I do think we can set intentions to try to make changes within ourselves that will help us cope and be resilient against whatever it is that comes up. And one of those things that I've committed to is meditation. But it's easy to fall into the trap of feeling that we have no time. We're all so busy, and I think we could have a whole other Facebook discussion on why we're all so busy, because I think that that's another problem in our culture. And I was just listening to an interesting podcast on workaholism, and how normalized it is to just be working all the time, and how busy we are, and how that's kind of really praised in our culture, and not taking time for ourselves and putting ourselves last. So I'm not going to go into that today because I don't want to get too far off track, but accepting the fact that we are in this very busy on-demand culture, and many of us feel that we don't have much time to take for ourselves. So how can we integrate this powerful tool of meditation into our lives when we feel so strapped for time? So I think one of the things that we can do, and I'm a big believer that meditation has to work with our lives. We can't say, I'm only going to meditate when I go to the meditation center or the meditation class or the monastery or whatever, these ideas are that we have in our mind, because we never get there. And, doing is much better than perfection. So I think we need to really think about a plan to integrate meditation that works, in our lifestyle, whatever that is. So, one thing that I encourage people to do is drop the idea that you need this perfect place to meditate. I would say the perfect place to meditate is the place that you meditate. So again, perfection doesn't really have a lot of meaning if we never get there. We could have this beautiful shrine in our home. We could buy an expensive membership to a meditation studio. I don't know where everyone is in different parts of the country, but here in New York, we're big, we're big fans of any kind of boutique fitness, wellness programs, and there's all these meditation studios that have been popping up around the city. And you can get a membership to one of these places, but like if you never go, it doesn't really matter. So I think we really need to drop the idea of perfection. We don't need any special equipment, any tools, anything to meditate. All you need is a seat. It could be a regular chair. It could be a meditation cushion. It could be the bench on the subway. It could be your toilet seat. I actually really often recommend that people meditate in the bathroom. I think it's an excellent place to get some peace and quiet, often the only place, depending on what your household is like. And it doesn't matter. It's all equally good. And then, once you've identified a place that you think you can meditate in, again, think about a place that will work for you. I think that here in New York City, again, like a lot of people a lot of people take the subway. It's the cheapest and fastest way to get around town. And we're kind of a captive audience there. So it's often easy for people to build that time that they're already spending kind of not doing the most productive things, to use that as your time to meditate. And it's, that's not what we picture often when we think about meditation. We don't picture the busy New York City crowded subway, but that's a wonderful place to meditate, especially if you can get a seat. There's a lot of apps that you can use and meditations that you can download, and you just, put your earbuds in. You look like just everybody else sitting on the subway, and you meditate then. So I think that's a wonderful place. So, thinking about a place to meditate that will fit into your life. And if you, really are feeling strapped to time, make it something that you're already doing. Like, that time that you're on the subway, that you're not doing anything else with that time anyway. So it's not really taking time away from, things that we think are more productive. And then the next thing is to think about, when you want to meditate. So, if you want to identify a time, whatever, in the morning or in the afternoon, it doesn't matter when it is, as long as it's a time that works with your schedule, your commute, your morning commute, your evening commute. And then think about a place that you're going to meditate, and set an intention for how long you want to meditate. And we have this idea that we have to meditate for like long periods of time. I think often when we think of meditation, we think about sitting on the floor on a special meditation cushion, or maybe on again, like in some kind of special meditation center. We don't need any of that. And we don't need to meditate for long periods of time. It's not about sitting there for hours upon hours in silence in this, Zen kind of state. Really, I recommend often that people start with either a 3-minute or a 5-minute meditation and start integrating this into your day. If you look on my website, and I can put the link in the comments, I have a free 3-minute meditation that you can check out on my website. And I think that's such a wonderful place to get started. It's just 3 minutes, because no matter how busy you are, you can find 3 minutes in your day, right? Can everybody here think that they can find 3 minutes in your day to commit to meditation? I don't think it's, it's not an overwhelming, request or intention or change to make, to just find those 3 minutes. And again, that's why I think, meditating in the bathroom can be so wonderful. You're usually spending 3 minutes in there anyway at some point. So find, the time to meditate, and you can use an app, or you can use the meditation from my website. Some of the apps that I like are things like Insight Timer. I know a lot of people like Headspace. That's not one that I use personally, but a lot of people like it. There's so many out there, and really I don't think it matters so much. I recommend mindfulness meditation of breath, which is any kind of meditation that's really focused on being completely aware and present in the here and now. So that is kind of how I think that we can integrate meditation into our busy life. It's by finding the time that we already have, whether it is on the subway, on your morning commute or your evening commute, whether it's in the bathroom when you're kind of there anyway, or just carving out 3 minutes, as part of your new routine after you brush your teeth, first thing you do when you get to the office, first thing you do when you get home, anything like that. But, I think if we can make it simple and doable, then it works for us, right? So I would love if everyone is game to lead you all in just a very brief 3-minute meditation, and get your meditation in for for your busy day. Okay, so I hope that everyone is okay with that. I'm going to set my timer here for 3 minutes. And if you are in a place where you can sit down, please do so. When I lead meditations, I use this little meditation bowl. It's just nice. It's a nice little thing to have, but again, not required. We don't have to have any special equipment. And actually, the Insight Timer app mimics this noise. So, it's all electronic now anyways. If you're in a place where you can sit down, please have a seat and just sit with a straight, erect, upright posture. But again, if you're in a place where you can't sit, you could just stand still, or you could just start to become more aware and centered in whatever it is that you're doing. And start to bring your awareness to your breathing. Just starting to notice your breath as you inhale and exhale. Noticing what it feels like to pause, to slow down, to take some time, even just a moment for yourself in your busy day. And just trying to tune into your body. You might notice the sound of your breath as it enters and exits through your body. You might notice the gentle expansion and contraction of your belly as the air enters and exits your body. Or you might notice the feel of the air, the temperature slightly cooler as it enters your body, slightly warmer as it exits your body. And just keeping all of your awareness on your breath. If your mind wanders off, if you get distraction, which is inevitable, that's what the mind does. It wanders off, it's busy, it's active. That's a good thing. It means we're alive. If your mind wanders off, just simply notice this and bring your awareness back to your breathing with a sense of gentle kindness towards yourself. No need to give yourself a hard time if it's hard to focus on your breath, if you continually get distracted, if your mind wanders off. Just simply noticing that this has happened, and with gentleness and kindness and love for yourself, bring your awareness back to your breath. Noticing what it feels like to be in your body, to create space and to notice the things that so often happen completely outside of our awareness. And we are going to prepare to bring our practice to a close. You can open your eyes if you've had them closed. So that was just like a very brief 3-minute meditation for those of you who stayed with me, who I think is everyone who was there when we started. If you feel like it, I'd love to hear what that was like for you doing that brief meditation. You can write your experience in the comments. And if you're joining us, watching the replay later on, you can do the same. I can still see the comments that come up, just not live. But that's how simple it is. It's just about pausing, becoming present, taking 3 minutes to focus on our breath, to notice, and focusing on the breath is a little bit of a red herring, because we're focusing on the breath, but by focusing on the breath, we're really focusing on the mind. We're really observing what the mind is doing, and each time that the mind wanders off, that's the opportunity for mindfulness. That's the opportunity that we can notice, oh, my mind went here, I'm thinking about this, I'm worried about that, I'm planning for that, and just, gently noticing and letting it go. It's a really powerful tool, and what I find is that when we practice meditation, mindfulness meditation regularly, we start to kind of program our brain to do that even when we're not meditating. So starting to notice, oh, I'm getting really, amped up about this. I'm feeling anxious right now. I'm feeling, angry, whatever it is. We start to become much more aware of what our mind is doing, what our body is doing, the important wisdom that our body is sending us. And we're able to intervene earlier on rather than waiting until things feel like completely out of control. We're able to notice, oh, I'm a little bit hungry right now. It's time to feed myself. Oh, I'm a little bit angry right now. How do I want to move forward from that? Rather than waiting until our body or mind is kind of yelling at us, giving us signals that we can't possibly ignore. And then things tend to feel very reactive and out of control. So that is my little bit on how to integrate meditation into your busy life. I really, truly believe that we can create that space for us, starting with 3 minutes a day. And again, I think 3 minutes is 3 or even 5 minutes. Like, start at that point and get a really solid footing on with that, right? Before we jump to something that's going to feel harder to sustain. If we jump into meditation and say, I'm going to meditate for 30 minutes every single day, that might be harder to do, and it's going to be a lot easier to kind of fall out of routine with it. Whereas if we say, I'm going to meditate for 3 minutes, I'm going to meditate for 5 minutes and set that intention, I'll tell you from the last 8 days that I've committed to doing at least 5 minutes of meditation every day, it's a lot harder to come up with a reason of why we can't spend 5 minutes doing meditation. And what I find is that no matter what I'm doing, I can say, it can wait for 5 minutes. It's time to meditate, and take that space for myself. Whereas I think it, at least for me personally, it would be a little bit harder to do that if I had set out for the intention, I'm going to, pause for 30 minutes or 60 minutes. But really, it's about whatever works for you and your lifestyle. But I hope that you will kind of join me in committing to meditation, or setting an intention for meditation this year. If you're interested in learning more about mindfulness and mindful eating, the registration is going to open up for the Anti-Diet Plan online virtual 6-week program next week. I am super excited about this. Like I said, this project has really been a big one for me, and I'm really proud of what I've come up with. I think that it's an excellent program that will really help you radically change your relationship with food and your body. I'm going to be doing a webinar next week, and you should get some information about that later this week. I'll be starting to promote it and open it up for registration. It's a completely free webinar. So if anyone's interested, we're going to be talking about why diets fail and why it's not our fault that we can't stick to a diet plan, and what we can do about it instead. And we'll be talking about mindfulness and mindful eating there. And of course, in the 6-week program that's going to be opening up for registration next week, we talk all about how to develop a meditation practice. You get lots of guided meditations. And then we also talk about how to apply the meditation that we're learning and practicing with to our relationship with food and our body to really make some transformations in that area of our life. And in addition to all of the programming in the 6-week virtual program, you get me. You get an hour of a group call, which I think we're going to begin with a meditation each session. And that's a chance to work through any obstacles. If you say, I'm having a hard time integrating meditation, we can talk through it, figure out why, figure out ways to really make it work. We'll not just talk about meditation, but changing, our relationship with food and, again, ultimately with ourselves and with the world around us. So I hope you'll join me on that journey. You can find some information over on the side here if you're watching on Facebook, or you can find information on my website, drconason.com, or you can register for a exclusive discount code. Now the discount is going to be ending next week when the program registration goes live. So this is only for people who express interest prior to registration to the general public opening up. It's not a commitment for anything. You're just saying, hey, I'd like that discount code when the program registration opens. And if you're interested in getting that discount code to save some money on the course program fees, you can head over to the antidietplan.com and sign up to get emailed that registration code. You don't have to register now. You're just giving your email and saying, I'd like to get that coupon code so that I can save some money when the program registers. And if you have any questions about the program, and I would even just be interested to hear about your experience, on committing to meditation for this year. Like I've said a few times, I'm recommitting, so I think it's nice to kind of be on this journey together. And I'd love to hear from you and kind of how that's going. You can find me here on Facebook at Alexis Conason, Psy.D. I'm on Twitter at Conason Psy.D. And I'm on Instagram at The Anti-Diet Plan, and email info@drconason.com. So I really hope that we can connect, and I hope you will join me next week. We have 2 events next week. We have our Facebook Live where we're going to be talking about how to raise kids with healthy body image and how to break the cycle of body hatred and body shame that I think has been passed down through the generations. And we also are going to have the webinar next week to have a real kind of deep dive into why diets fail, why it's not our fault, and what we can do differently. So I hope you'll join me for those 2 events. Thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.